to BYOB Trading Room. Thank you for being here. Hey, thank you everybody out there in podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you for following, liking, and subscribing to my content. Thank you so much for the kind words. Thank you to Bob Jordan, John Jordan, Kathy, Sarah Roasted, Ed Carter, Rick Sadler, everybody that shares the content out there to the World Wide Web, helping the whole world see the way we do things here in the BYOB room. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, let's get started. Let's take a look at a little bit what happened yesterday. My SPY pivot this morning, 649.85. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. SPY, Diamond Dow, FNGU, and QQQ, everybody but IWM, made lower highs and lower lows, closing under bearish straps under their 17 EMAs. IWM, a little bit different, made a lower high and a lower low, just like the others. Closed under a bullish trap and under the falling 17. SPY closed 2-hour downtrend, 10-minute downtrend. QQQ probably did the same thing. Gold, lower high, lower low, closed under a bearish trap and under the 17. Silver, lower high, lower low, closed under a bearish trap, also under the 17. USO, bull flagging up there in quadrant 4 and looking good. USO made a higher high and lower low, closing over a bullish cross over the rising 17. UNG made a higher high and a higher low, closing under a bearish trap and under the 17. US dollar index still in a daily uptrend, closed near the 99.85 area. Today's OPEX day, that means options expire today. SPY max pain for today, 653, with a put to call ratio of 1.1 put for each call that expires today at 4:15. Those security options expire at 4. Index options 4:15. If this is your first time seeing this, these are all in daily uptrends over the 17 EMA. If this is your first time seeing this, all of these are in daily downtrends under the 17 EMA. If they got a little star next to it, they're building out a bear flag. I call it a platform from which to dive lower. Okay, so under the 17, over the 17. Let's take a look at the markets. SPY, here's our 10-minute chart. Okay, 10-minute chart, 10-minute downtrend. You can see the sticks and the 3 EMA, which is that yellow line, clearly plotting underneath the 8 EMA. Both of them are pointed down all the way into the close. So we got 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. 2-hour chart from yesterday. Get the sticks and the 3 plotting underneath the 8. See the 8's pointed down, the 3's pointed down. We've got a 2-hour downtrend coming into the close. On the daily chart, we've got a lower high, a lower low. We closed under. See the bearish trap. You can see daylight between the 3 and the 8. They're both pointed down, and the 3 is plotting below the 8. So it's a bearish trap right there. So in a downtrend, because we're making lower highs and lower lows. So we're in a downtrend on daily chart. Weekly chart doing the same thing. Okay, it's been a while since we've had a weekly downtrend. So you can see right here, we've got a low that shoots below the 17. We made a lower low, so we're in a downtrend. Now back to the daily chart. Okay, we're in the upper third. Here's the origin of our rally back here in April. We're up and then over to the right. We're still in the upper third, so that's bullish. But we got to recognize we are in a downtrend, okay? Currently on the daily chart. Weekly chart, same thing, okay? April rally, up and over to the right. We're in a downtrend, but we're still bullish because we're up over the upper third, okay? Monthly chart. Now, monthly time frame is still, here's the April origin, up and over to the right. Monthly is still bullish and in an uptrend. Weekly, daily, 2-hour, all in downtrends right now. Let's take a look at QQQ. Start off on the 10-minute. You can see you got the sticks and the 3 plotting underneath the 8. Everything pointed down. 10-minute downtrend coming into the close yesterday. 2 hours, same deal. You got the sticks and the 3 plotting underneath the 8. Got daylight between the 3 and the 8. 2-hour downtrend coming into the close. Daily candle, lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap. We close down here under the bearish trap, under the falling 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, under the uptrend line, still in the upper third, no longer in quadrant 4, but still in the upper third. So we're still bullish, but we're in a downtrend because we're making lower highs and lower lows. Same thing is going to be said for the weekly chart. Back here's our April origin of our move, up and over to the right. Big bull flag right there right now. Take a look at the weekly chart. Again, April, this is the origin of our rally, up, over to the right. We're still in the upper third. We're still bullish, but now we're starting to make lower lows, so we're in a downtrend. You can see right there. Monthly chart, here's the origin, April. Go up and over. Now, monthly chart's a little bit different. We have not made any lower lows unless we take out this low right here. So we're still in an uptrend on the bigger time frame right there on QQQ. All right, let's take a look at game plans. And we'll start off on the 15-minute chart. Zoom out here. Pull that into focus, that into focus. Move that over, and that over. Okay. QQQ game plan, pivot, 578.50. Above it, bullish. Below it, bearish. Red erases green. Below, 573.40. That'd be the red erases green entry. Green erases red over 584.65. Right there. Got a bearish gap from yesterday right there. You can see that bearish gap, and the bulls never came through and filled the gap. Now, in the overnight action, all right, because I happen to trade futures, all right, so let's take a peek at SPY, and we're going to go in the overnight action. For SPY, went up to 650 and then rolled over and then took out the lows and made lower lows last night or early morning, okay? So QQQ, I trade Friday options on the multiple of 5. Now today's Friday, so probably either 0 DTE, 7 DTE, or 14 DTE, okay? I like my strikes at the money right now because there's a lot of volatility priced into the options. And even though it says they have the possibility of moving $9.56, they don't quite make it that far. So what happens is market makers wind up with a squat day, which only happens to have a range of $2 or $3, and you're paying in your volatility for a $9 and a $10 move on your option. So what happens is that thing decays so fast, and unless they got the momentum going with with the trend, it just happens to be that you never wind up having a decent option on that if you're out of the money. So for that reason, I'm going with strikes at the money at this time. Now, I don't get to get as many as I used to get with the out of the money, all right? But I'm going to get also, it's going to be a lot more volatile because they're at the money, and I'm going to get closer to penny for penny performance. So I kind of got to be picky and choosy about where I want them. Maybe $1 or $2, away from the spot price, maybe out of the money, just a little bit, not much, closer to at the money, but not quite at the money. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, just being closer to it instead of $5, $10 away. Okay, so I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. All right, and I like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. Yesterday was a beautiful day. You can see this is the VWAP right here. It's that burnt orange line. So you got a 10-minute downtrend right there. I'll put it on the 10-minute chart so you can see it. See the sticks in the 3. Everything's plotting below the 8. Okay, you got daylight between the 3 and the 8. 10-minute downtrend that ran all day long right there. Now, what were my instructions yesterday, or what I said I was going to do? Not my instructions. Okay, I said I plan to wait and trade the SPY 10-minute downtrend to target 648.50, which was gap fill. This is not a gap fill, but that was gap fill. That was gap fill, 648.50, and then possibly down to 645. Okay, the 650 support may reject the 10-minute downtrend as it has done in the pre-market. So you can see from the instructions, we'll go to SPY so you can see that. All right, you can see here's 650 right here, and you can see all of these tails come into 650. See that? Into that 650 area, 651, 650, right around that zone. And then finally we break through and we have a red erases green right underneath this line right here. Okay, underneath all those tails, underneath all this. So I said I'd wait for the 10-minute downtrend. You can see I clearly got it right about here. And after the opening, that's the opening print right there, right after the open. And then I traded that 10-minute downtrend all the way down to the end of the day. Never had to get out of it, all right? Just nice, beautiful 10-minute downtrend. And you can see we hit 648.50, which was right about here, okay? And then you can see we hit 645, which was right about there, okay? At the end of the day, right there, 645. Okay, so we got both of them. That was a nice day. I don't always get all the, I don't always even, sometimes I don't even get one target, but that was nice, all right? Most of the time I get one target, but that was nice, tagging two targets on the same day. So anyways, let's look at our SPY game plan. Let's bring everything into focus, put it on the 15. All right, SPY pivot. Let's move this out of the way. Okay, so SPY pivot this morning, 649.85. Above it, bullish. Below it, bearish. Green erases red over 654.90. So remember yesterday's highs? All right, well, we got an open gap up there. If we get up over that, I want to be bullish. I want to fill the gap and go after these highs up there. Okay, I got red erases green below 644.80. Remember yesterday's low right here. So underneath yesterday's low, I'm bearish, looking for a 10-minute downtrend. So we're currently in the pre-market. We're under here, so I'll be looking for 10-minute downtrend. Now, give me just a minute here after I explain the options, and then we'll go look at the pre-market and post-market, and we'll see what we can uncover so that we can have a decent plan for this morning. It'll probably be early, so we'll see what happens. But I like the Friday options on the multiple of 5, specifically for the open interest. All right, because I like a tight bid-ask spread. My sweet spot for me, I like options that are 30 cents on up to $1.20. Now, it's going to be hard to find an at the money strike that's 30 cents, and it's just not going to happen. All right, maybe at 255 or closer to 330, you might find a 30-cent at the money strike. Okay, but early in the day, here in the morning, you're not going to find a 30-cent at the money strike. All right, you're just going to have to pay up for it at that time. All right, but again, my sweet spot for me, I like the 30 cent on up to $1.20. That's something that I can live with. I can defend. I can trade with. I get enough movement out of it. If it's too low, you don't get but 1 or 2 pennies movement. If it's too high, then you're exposing yourself to too much volatility. So it's kind of hard. So that's why I choose that 30 cent to $1.20 range. That's just for me. All right, that's what I like. I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. You can see right here again yesterday. Had a beautiful 10-minute. Going to go to the 10-minute chart. Okay, got a beautiful 10-minute downtrend under VWAP right here. Okay, you see it? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Lasts all day long. Love that. Okay, you can see VWAP. Now you see the 8. All right, the 8 EMA, which is this white line. Okay, that's the 8 EMA. Okay, see? And then look at the relationship with the 8 EMA to the VWAP line. See how the mouth of the 8 and the VWAP get bigger and bigger and bigger, bigger and bigger, okay? It just grows, okay? That right there. That's a picture of money right there. That is money all day long, okay? Right there. That's money. That's exactly what you want to find, all right? Right there. All right? And what we like is for momentum to keep going. So for my momentum, I use what's called the PPO. All right, I'll just share it with you. I think I went over this last night and the guys liked it, so I think I'll review it again today, see if I can find it. Okay, it's here. Here we are. Okay. Now, on the 10 or the 15-minute chart, I prefer the 15, okay? Bigger time frame, more reliable. All right, whenever my PPO is underneath my 9 EMA, see this yellow line right here? All right, price has momentum, all right? Because what we want price to, we want the slope to fall faster than theta decay, all right? And that's the whole trick, okay? Sometimes you could be in a downtrend, but price never falls fast enough to overcome the theta decay because you put in so much premium because you paid for a $10 volatile option and the thing's only going to move $2, okay? So sometimes you got to wonder, like, I mean, I got the downtrend, I got the option, and I'm still losing money, or I'm hardly making any money, and I'm breaking even. That's true. It is true, okay? It happens, okay? The slope definitely has to be greater than the theta decay. Otherwise, when you're buying these $10 options, $10 volatile options, you can see it's because it's the average, the 10-day average is $9.50. I'm just going to round it up and call it 10, okay? You're not going to get enough movement out of your stock in order to generate some profit because the theta decay is just taking over faster than the stock is producing profits, all right? And that becomes a problem, all right? And so what we do is we look at this PPO, and this kind of shows us momentum whenever the PPO is either negative 0.06 on the bearish put days, okay, or less, negative 0.06 or less, all right, not greater or less. So you know that negative 0.07 is less than negative 0.06. Okay, you're working in the other direction. Okay, so negative 0.07, 0.06, 0.08, negative 0.08, okay? Okay, so on the put days, down there and growing. I like to see them when they're growing. You'll see it. Let me give you, like here they're growing. See how they get higher and higher and higher and higher? Okay, so now here you notice they're 0.2. They're growing. They're over the 9, but guess what? They're not up at that 0.06 level. All right, that's where the profits can be had, is when they're in that 0.06 level, right up there, 0.06 and higher. And keep an eye on it because it's not, you'll need to watch it because you can see right here, it doesn't get to 0.06, 0.07 till we get to the very top up there. Okay, that's a little bit too late. All right, so right there. All right, so that's SPY. This is what I use. I'm looking for negative 0.06 or less. All right, or less, because negative 0.07 is less than negative 0.06. Okay, and underneath this 9 EMA. All right, I wanted to explain that so you can understand that part right there. All right, now notice, all right, on the 10-minute chart, okay, see, price still continues to decay and fall apart down here, but we're under the 9 EMA, but we're probably less or 0.06 or less. Yeah, see how we're 0.07, so that was good. All right, so that's why you like that 0.07, 0.06, 0.08, all of that is very good, because then you get that price is really moving in your direction, and that kind of measures your momentum. All right, that's the kind of momentum you need to overcome that theta decay, especially when you're paying for the volatility of a $10 option. All right, I'm calling it a $10 option because the 10-day ATR is close to $10. All right, so that's the way that they're pricing them, is that this has an expected move of $10. But you can see clearly on this day, we did not move $10. Okay, we only moved $5. See this? This is the day before. Okay, so you could be paying for a $10 option for a $10 price move, but only get snookered with, you know, a $3 or $5 movement. Okay, and that's where there's not enough slope in your downtrend to overcome. All right, the theta decay, and what happens is you just get crushed on it. Okay, so that's why I want to teach this lesson right here. Okay, so that's SPY. So I'm going to move off this now so we can wrap this up and get ready. Okay, now I said I was going to go look at the pre-market. All right, so let's go over here. All right, let's see what happened. Now I want to point this out because price, not this thing right here, that was another POTUS tweet. Okay, that doesn't count. Okay, but in the post market last night, after 8 o'clock, we ran up to 850. And then we rolled over. Now, I can probably show that to you. Okay, if you want to see what that looks like. And this would be ES is the, and the MES is the SPY. Okay, so this right here was, this was our post market right here. And you can see I'm cutting along. Then this right here is 8 p.m. right there. So we cut across right there, and then around midnight, 1 o'clock, they ran up to 850, double topped up there. And you can see then they came tumbling all the way back down to the point of control, which happened to be right about here at the time, okay? And instead of bouncing back up there to try it again, they just kept going. And you can see that downtrend where the 3 is underneath the 8, or actually that's that my 9 underneath the 20, and it just runs all night long, all right, into the morning down to the lows down here, okay? And you can see that was our low of day yesterday, okay? And then we bounced up on, you know, that guy's tweet right there, which screwed everything up, okay? And then that's what you got, all right? So that was 650. So 650 was rejected last night. I would be inclined to sell calls over 650 after witnessing that last night. Okay, so if you were interested in a fly or a condor, okay, that would be where I would put my short strike, is up there over 650. That's just me, all right? I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm just want to explain this is what happened last night. I don't think they're going to make it up there this morning, at least over 650. We'll see. I doubt it, but we'll see. Okay, so that's what happened last night. All right, so let's take a look at the markets this morning. Okay, here's a tweet. Move over. That's the post market. Then we ran up, did the 650 thing, and then we got crushed down. So currently we have a 10-minute downtrend. I don't know if we're going to have a 10-minute downtrend at 9:30. All right, but my plan is to wait and trade a 10-minute downtrend. All right, all the way down to 640, maybe even 635. That's my plan. Okay, I'll take it as far as it wants to go. So my plan is to wait and trade a 10-minute downtrend. I'm not interested in a 10-minute uptrend. All right, we're just too bearish at this time. Not unless the bulls come in and show me they can get up over 650 and hold that area. I'm kind of not interested in an uptrend at all. All right, maybe a pullback to VWAP, maybe something like that, but I'm really not interested in an uptrend. I'm going to wait for the 10-minute downtrend, just like I did yesterday, and then I'm going to trade that to the downside. And I think we get down to 635. We'll see. I know max pain is 653, so we'll see what happens. All right, that's my plan for this morning. I may change my plan if I see something different, or if that guy tweets again and changes the whole dynamics of the price action and the structure. We'll see what happens. Okay, so there's SPY on the 15. Same thing for the QQQ. All right. Underneath this, I'll be looking for another 10-minute down. So I'll be looking for continuation of that 10-minute downtrend on SPY. That's my plan. All right. So there's SPY on the 15. Let's go find out what happened with the rest of the market here. Okay. Let's go to the daily. Let's put it on the scratch. Let's go to IWM. All right. IWM. Lower highs, lower lows, okay, a little bit different. They had a bullish trap because you can see the 3 is up over the 8. They closed under a bullish trap. See these dots? That's a 17 EMA. Instead of it being a line, it's dots. So whenever the price is under the dot, it's red. Over the dot, it's green. Okay, so you can see right here, under the falling 17, okay, notice it just keeps getting lower and lower. All right, and you can see underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's the pink line right up there. I'm going to zoom way out, okay? Here's the origin of our rally back in April, okay? We go up, all right? And then we're bull flagging up here right now, okay? So we're still bullish, all right, because we're still in the upper third. But we haven't made any higher highs, so we're still in a downtrend. That's IWM on the daily chart. Diamond Dow. Okay, now Diamond Dow, just made it in the bullish side by a penny right there. Okay. Again, the origin of our rally back here in April, up and over. We're still by a penny. All right, right here, inside the upper third. Okay, so bullish. All right. They're still bullish, but in a downtrend, making lower highs and lower lows. Okay. They're bullish, but not by much. All right. I'm just going to say that. They're bullish, not by much. You can see in the pre-market, they're really neutral because they're below that little dash line. All right. So there's Diamond Dow. Let's take a look at FNGU. Here's Stinker. Stinker, let's take this off right now. Okay, Stinker, lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap. Stinker is no longer neutral. Stinker is in the lower third. Stinker is bearish. And you can see a high, there's a lower high. You can see a low, there's a lower low. Bearish and in a downtrend. Closing, of course, under the 50-yard line. All right. Under the all-time high anchored VWAP, bullish and bearish. I meant bearish and in a downtrend right there. Okay, so I did QQQ, SPY. Let's go take a look at precious metals, silver and gold. Okay, so both of them, gold and silver, lower high, lower low, closing under bearish traps, under fading 17 EMAs, not quite falling, but fading 17 EMAs, closing underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, this one happens to be neutral and in a downtrend. Gold, all right, is still in the upper third. Lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap, closing under a falling 17, closing under the all-time high anchored VWAP. Still bullish. All right, but in a downtrend right there on gold. USO, high flyer here. Let me just show you. This is the origin of our 4-year high anchored VWAP right there, all the way back there. That's that post-COVID high right there, okay? So you've got higher low, higher high, closing over, I'm going to call it a bullish cross, closing over the rising 17. See how the dots rise up from the ashes down here. Okay, so from bullish, it's up in quadrant 4. See how it's in the middle of quadrant 4? All right, that's bullish and in an uptrend. They haven't made any lower lows. Now remember I said this, which seems to be staging a breakout, could get up to 187, 183 area. All right, I don't think it will hang out there, but it could get up there. Okay, I don't think it will hang. I think it will be a big, long wick up into it. It may hang out at the 150 area, but I don't think it's going to hang out at 183, 187 area. Okay, it has the potential to get up there. I think it does. All right, but I don't see it hanging out way up there. Okay, this is USO daily chart. Again, bullish and in an uptrend on USO. Let's take a look at UNG. Okay, UNG higher high, higher low, but closing under a bearish trap, closing under the flat 17, closing under the 12-month high anchored VWAP. That's only a 12-month high. Okay, this is the all-time low. That's just a 12-month high. If you wanted to see all-time high, you can see we've really set the bar really low for UNG so that it can finally beat something. All right, and so this is a really low bar that we set, and you can see they struggled even with the low bar. Okay, all right, all they had to do was jump over. All right, and you can see all they had to do is jump over the Hot Wheels car or the Matchbox, and you see how they struggle with it right here. Okay, so this is bearish. It's down in quadrant 1. Remember, upper third is bullish, lower third is bearish. It's bearish, and you can see we got lows and lower lows, so we're in a downtrend still. Okay, that's UNG. All right, let's take a look at technicals, T2101. Okay, T2101, price came down, participation came down. That's kind of a bullish sign, all right? That really is. You don't want people piling on, running for the exits, all right, when price is coming down, okay? So there's T21. That's kind of a, if I was reading tea leaves, I'd say that was bullish. I would rather see participation decrease while price pulls back, all right? T2122. We're just going to look at this from a bigger picture. All right, if you look at the majority of the line, the yellow line, which is nonstop, okay, it spends most of its time under this 50-yard line, okay? This would be the bullish side up here, and this would be the bearish side down here. It spends most of its time in the bearish side for the month of March, okay? You guys noticing that? So clearly bears still in control. All right, we do make an appearance up here, but you notice we cannot hold it for long. We can't hold it for more than like 4 hours. After 4 hours, it's like it's too hot and we have to leave. All right, see this? It's just too hot and they got to leave. All right, maybe half a day or 4 hours and that's it. And then they're out of there. Okay, I do see some signs, all right, which may be the reason for the T2101 being bullish. Slightly bullish right there in that we're making higher lows, okay, and making slightly higher highs, couple equal high up there, but for the most part we're still bearish. All right, notice we're on the south side of the 50-yard line right here, so we're on the bearish side. Okay, so that would be a bearish clue for me. All right, let's take a look at T2123. You can see right here we got a low and we made lower lows, so that's bearish and in a downtrend. You can see we're underneath the fading 200 SMA. That's the all-time high up there. If we put the quad lines on it, it's going to look ugly. As you can see, we're at the very, very bottom of quadrant 1. It's going to be bearish. And you can see we've got lows, 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 and we keep making lower lows. So that's bearish and in a downtrend. All right, so not time to be bullish yet. All right, well, the bulls haven't showed up yet. So anyways, they tried a couple times here. All right, just couldn't quite get it done. Let's take a look at the 3-bar chart. All right, here's the 3-bar chart. That's the same product, T2103. Okay, so this is the origin of our rally back here in April. Notice that's an all-time high. We go up and make a new all-time high. Pull back, make a higher low. Rip, consolidate over the flat 200 and make another new all-time high. So here's 2024, new all-time high. 2025, new all-time high. 2026, new all-time high. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we get another one in 2020, 2026. We'll see. I don't think so, though, but we might. We're in a downtrend, but we're still bullish. We're in the upper third. Okay? Origin of our rally. Okay? You're up here in the upper third. All right? But we're clearly in a downtrend because there's a low. Well, there's a lower low, and then we keep getting a series of lower lows. So bullish, but in a downtrend. I can see now we're on the south side of the rising 200 SMA. Not my favorite place to be unless I'm a bear, and I kind of am a bear right now. All right, until the bulls show up, I'm going to be a bear. So there's T2123. Stinker on the 15. Bearish gap down. You can see right here, the bulls never filled the gap. All right, it'd have been a clue if they got up there and at least tagged it. They didn't even get close. Okay, showing me again bearish control. Okay, again, I'm going to be a bear until the bulls show up. All right, and I haven't seen any sign of them yet. You can see right here, stinker on the 15, underneath this falling 200 SMA, underneath this all-time high anchored VWAP. If I took this from the all-time high using the quad lines, you can bet we're going to be in quadrant 1, and we are in the very bottom of quadrant 1. So that's bearish and in a downtrend right there on stinker on the 15. Let's take a look at the economic package. And let's blow this up. Let's start with Max Pain. Max Pain is 653 with a put-to-call ratio of 1.1. So Max Pain's way overhead. That'd be a long way to travel from where we are now. I don't know how close they want to get to it, but we'll look at the point of control before I leave you guys, okay? It's still 653, so nothing's changed. Earnings reports. All familiar names right here all this week, but nothing that's going to be market moving, okay? Carnival's supposed to report this morning, all right? That's it, all right? So that's, again, familiar names, but nothing that's going to move the markets. We trade indexes, so none of this is going to be really market moving right there. On the economic calendar, what do we got this morning? We've got another delayed report. I guess we're still in a shutdown. I'm not positive. International trading goods, a delayed report at 8:30. Consumer sentiment at 10, and probably a recount at 1. As you can see, not much data coming out that's going to disturb the market in whatever direction they want to go. Clearly, we were bearish yesterday. I'm going to continue to be bearish until the bulls show up. All right, that's it. All right, continue with my bearishness until the bulls show up. That's my plan. I'm going to wait and trade the 10-minute downtrend. All right, so that's it for me this morning. I'll see you guys in about, 35 minutes, and we'll open up the markets together and trade them together. All right, here in the room. Thank you, traders. Appreciate that. Did I say I was going to visit something before I left? Oh, yes, one other thing. Okay, point of control on MES. Right here. See the big node? But look, notice, see how they're building out this node down here? See how it's getting bigger and bigger? This one may overcome this one, and the point of control may move down to here, which makes me think 640 SPY, 635 SPY could be on the table for today. All right, so currently the point of control is back here, which was about 646.50. all right, where we closed yesterday, okay? 646. We closed down here, but we got a little pop. That's where the post market started. So right around 646.50 is where the point of control. Max Pain 653, which is obviously going to be all the way up here where this VWAP left off before. All right, so you can see they're building out this volume node. All right, so we'll see what happens here. All right, I'll see you guys in like 35 minutes. Thank you, traders.